Hey, welcome back. I am again with Melanie Neumann. We are in Cleveland, Ohio, the home of the Rock and
Rock
Roll
and
Hall of
roll.
Fame. And this was this took the place of Metropolis in the recent Superman movie.
I heard that this was the birthplace of
Yeah,
Superman, actually.
I think it's kind of
Fun
fitting
fact.
because it's almost like we think Superman like the Justice League and the League the Hall of Justice,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know, a meeting like this, we have all these industry experts and food safety leaders coming together. It's like our own little food safety hall of heroes that come together.
Love the
And
analogy.
well, thank you. That's my middle name. My middle name is Analogy. But I would imagine that everyone who comes here who's ever had anything to do with the recall would probably say that your job, whether it's whatever your job is, but look at it from a legal
Hmm.
standpoint, your job in the legal context with a recall does not end when someone says the recall is over now. There must be stuff that goes on beyond a recall that has to be prominent in the mind of anyone who's thinking legally within a company. What would be some
Absolutely.
things that come to mind in terms of, yeah, you should be doing this, that, or the other, or you should be considering that?
Yeah. Well, I will say that, USDA, FSIS, and FDA will expect status reports of your corrective action plan, right? So if you have a recall, what are you going to do to prevent it from happening again? So they're going to want those periodic update and status reports of, have you pulled product from the market? Have you conducted effectiveness checks? Have you implemented an appropriate CAPA plan? Or has your team? So those are the kinds of communications that will likely funnel through you, to make sure that they're appropriate, not too much information is being disclosed, but certainly being transparent and enough to brief the agency. Secondly, I've been doing recall and crisis management response for almost 30 years, believe it or not, Darin. And the companies that I see the most successfully thrive through, not just survive a recall, but thrive through a recall, is when they do a post-mortem or an after action analysis within 30 days of the dust settling on the
Okay, 30
recall.
days.
Yeah, I mean that is best practice, because you get the whole recall team and everyone who had either is a part of the recall team named in your recall plan or played a critical part in the process, to do a SWOT analysis. What was our strengths? What went well? What don't we have to fix? Don't fix what's not broken, right? Where were our weaknesses? Where could we have used maybe some third party advisors we didn't reach out to originally? Was it our systems? Did our traceability system take 3 days to parse through the information? What do we need to shore up, so the next time, and I hate to say it, it will be when, not if, the next time there is a product related incident, potential recall or crisis, you're tighter, you're stronger, you learned from that. Current history is repeated till learned, right? We all kind of know this, and so what can you do to make yourself stronger going forward?
Well, it sounds like we can't necessarily guarantee or prevent a recall, but we can say, look, if we treat a recall as a challenge to learn more about our systems and to uh, try to improve going forward, then that's the best approach to it. The
Yeah.
idea of, "Ooh, I'm done. Glad I'll never have to do that again." That's a crazy notion. But it kind of goes into that mind of, if you're after a recall,
Hmm.
you should immediately, obviously your 30-day type of follow-up, you should immediately go into the, I'm preparing for the next one
Right.
right away.
Right.
You're not like in the safe zone for a while there. You're in the, now you take that and put that into the preparation or anticipation mode.
Right. I mean, the reality is the facility that had the problem is likely going to be subject to increased inspections, right? So making sure that that facility is tight, and your other ones who make like kind products. So if plant A, who produces, say, a baked muffin, has the problem, but you produce a similar kind of product in plant B, they're probably going to show up at plant B too. So are they ready?
That's actually a really good point. We've seen this recently with, oh, this happens at this location. It doesn't happen at every other location. Does it? Do you know that? Because the fact that you don't have any indication is almost like more of an revealing that you just didn't ask those questions than
Yeah.
it is you don't have evidence that's showing you that it's clearly off the table
It's like
to
trying to
consider.
prove a negative, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if you are looking at the idea of, if you have an issue with one line or one facility or one production location, you should be asking all these questions, not only of location A, but B, C, D, and E, because it's very likely that some of the reasons that you got into that situation are probably equal across the
Pervasive,
whole geography.
exactly, because we try to be efficient, right? Like food safety plans and HACCP plans should be facility specific, not cookie cutter amongst all your 17 plants. But let's face it, certain preventive programs are going to be similar, right? And so we've got to be smart about where else could this issue rear its ugly head. And I mean, I probably will just close by a famous quote. I'm not their original author of, but it's never waste a good crisis,
That's true. That's
right?
true.
And that's the spirit of that SWOT analysis or that after action report, pretty close in time to the point that the recall is over, so it's fresh in people's minds.
I would even take it a step further and say that if you have a recall from your facility in California, the after incident report follow up is a good opportunity to fly your team out from your other location in Alabama to say maybe they should be involved in this analysis of what happened in California.
Yeah, to listen, learn, and implement, the corrective actions in their facility that might apply. Absolutely.
Well, one last question then is we talked about this idea of learning from that opportunity of the recall to do something different next time. If you don't do these actions, if you don't learn from this, if you continue to have these problems, at some point it's not because of equipment failure or lack of testing. It becomes a leadership failure even from that legal team. And now you're saying, we decided to not make these priorities and not make this investment in the from a legal perspective in terms of learning from this and doing better. And now you're putting yourself, not only your company, but the person in more legal jeopardy because you've got a track record of not being that responsible corporate officer.
Yeah, what does that sound like? Negligence at
At some
best,
point.
maybe willfulness at worst, right? Like this is liability exposure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that is not what any company or any team or anyone who's building a legacy of themselves within their career would want to have on
Right.
record.
I mean, you're going to have a much greater likelihood of getting a warning letter from FDA or USDA as well because you're having repeat problems and they're looking for that. They're going to come back. They're going to see if you fixed the problem. And if you didn't and the same situation or circumstances are still present, that means like, hey, how many chances are we going to give you? At some point, we need to increase the enforcement activity here. And you'll probably get a warning letter, which are publicly available. It's brand reputation damage, and it's really hard to unring that bell. So let's try not to ring it in the first place.
Well, Melanie Neumann, thank you very much. This has been a multi-part series looking at recalls from different phases of recalls, but looking through the lens of one of the probably, I would say, Mount Rushmore worthy of experts in the world of food safety.
Well, it's about time to put a female's face on Mount Rushmore,
Isn't it?
right?
Isn't it? Thank you very much, and thank you, and let's talk soon.